this is the Provoked Prawn, and I want to talk to you about a headset that I thought I hated. This is the Varjo Aero, and one of the most frustrating initial experiences that I had with a headset, where it took me 3 days of faffing around to try and get it to work. And I want to talk about why this is a problem. And it was actually a user error, so it was my own error, and I will start my caveat in that and saying I am an idiot, so feel free to tell me that in the comments if you want to, because I know people would love to call me an idiot whenever they get a chance. But this is an important lesson that I think is worth other people knowing about, and it also highlights some of the things of interest about this headset and VR in general on PC. So this is a PC VR headset, a high-end one with some really premium specs and potentially really cool features that include built-in eye tracking and a really nice design. Obviously fits nicely on the head with a really comfortable fit. And I want to just talk more about my experiences with this headset as we go through this video, and I'll talk about the positives about this headset at the end and what I love about it once I finally got it set up, because I had some real frustrations with it, and this was all down to the Steam VR tracking. Now, for a long time, a lot of PC VR headsets have had this similar setup. So you can see here there's Steam VR base stations and the original Vive ones, and this is part of the setup process, but it's not actually included with the headset. So as standard, you only get the headset itself. You need to then source the controllers, whether it's the Vive ones or the Valve Index controllers, for example, and the Steam VR base stations. So you've got that built-in tracking. You also obviously need to tether to a high-end gaming PC, and this thing does actually require a pretty beefy PC in order to run. Now, I didn't think this was going to be a problem because I've got a Core i9-13900K processor, an RTX 3090 graphics card, a pretty powerful machine, so I knew that wasn't going to be a problem. I'm also pretty experienced in the world of Steam VR. I've had a lot of VR headsets over the last few years for testing and for gaming with, but it turns out that the Steam VR setup was a problem for me, and this might be an obvious one for some, but here you can see that I was sent the base station 2.0s, which is what I was trying to use, but I was trying to use them with the original Vive ones, which doesn't work because you need the newer ones, which are the blue ones. And so the headset would not track the controllers, so I couldn't use the controllers, and it was a major annoyance. Not something I've come across before, and I've used these controllers with other headsets. So I did a video on the Pimax 8K, which is another premium headset that also runs Steam VR, and that works with the original base stations and the original controllers. And it's worth noting that the Varjo does as well, so Varjo Aero does as well. But again, same sort of frustrating experience. You need to set up the base stations, you need a good play space to play it in, and you need obviously a powerful PC to run it, and you need to be tethered to a PC. Now, in a world where we have things like the Oculus Quest 2, or as it's known now, the Meta Quest 2, which is obviously wire-free and PC-free potentially. Obviously, these sort of PC Master Race PC VR headsets are completely the other end of the spectrum. They're either built for businesses or for VR enthusiasts, which I would say I am to some degree. I do love that experience, and you can't beat it. I mean, you can see the Pimax here compared to the Quest 2. The Pimax has massive lenses, absolutely huge, gives you that wider field of view and a much more immersive experience. Obviously, you get a much better quality. Again, something like the Vive Pro 2 that you can see here, same sort of high-end experience, but you need loads of wires, loads of connections, the base stations, the connectors, the PC with the high-end gear in it. And obviously that's set up there. Now, a few things of note here is that the Vive Pro 2 is a nice headset that has built-in speakers on it. One thing of note there is that the Varjo Aero does not have speakers or any headphones included. So that's a point I'll get to it again in a minute. And it also has cameras on it, the Vive Pro 2, whereas we don't have any pass-through cameras on the Varjo Aero. So these are some small points I want to talk about as we go through this process. But essentially what I found was that I couldn't use this headset, and it does cost a lot of money if you go to buy it. So it costs a lot just for the headset itself, but there's a good reason for that. It's a nicely, cleverly built headset with a good build quality to it and a really nice feature-rich design. It has a dual mini LED LCD display, which gives you 2880 by 2720 20 pixels per eye. It's calibrated up to 150 nits with 90 hertz refresh rate as well. So it's a serious business in terms of the quality of the screen, the display, and it is really clear and it's really enjoyable, as well as other clever things. Obviously that built-in eye tracking, but automatic IPD adjustment with a range of 57 to 73 millimeters, so it caters to a wide range, and it automatically adjusts when you put the headset on every time, and it will let you know if you've got it positioned in the wrong place. There's a lot of interesting highlights there, but also you can see from this design that it has a really good sort of headband system. I found when I put it on, it sat really nicely on my face. It's got nice squishy cushions on the front, and the headband is so well thought out because it's really well balanced and it's easy to wear for hours and hours. But more importantly, it also sits on the face in such a way that it blocks out loads of external light. It doesn't let any of the light in like other headsets I've tried, which means you're fully immersed in what you're doing, which is fantastic. It's really lightweight too at 487 grams. And I just found that it wasn't nagging at my head. So you can see what the setup looks like here on my glass skull, just to show you how it fits, but it's also highly adjustable. However, there are some complaints. You can see from the front that it has this sort of clear finish on it. There's no cameras there, so there's no pass-through cameras, so you can't easily see the world around you without taking the headset off, which is a faff. You do have desktop view within the headset, so it uses Varjo's base software, which gives you an easy view into your desktop so you can see your PC, and also a connection to Steam VR with ease as well. So there's lots of accessibility there, but you'll see that you have to use your own headphones. So here I'm using an EPOS and Drop headset, which I'll be doing a video on shortly. 3.5mm connection obviously plugs into the side of the headset, and now I've got two things on my head, and you do get quite hot doing that, but you can use a wireless headset as an option as well. Now a quick look at the base software. You'll see that you can adjust the resolution quality, so you can crank that PPD all the way up. And you also notice that it does that foveated rendering because it uses this eye tracking technology to track where you're looking and then render where your gaze is with the best quality. This means that you get a better experience because in theory it puts less pressure on your system because it's not rendering your peripherals and what you're not looking at quite so much. So you get a higher FPS and a smoother experience. But my experience with this was that I was able to go back and replay a lot of the games I've already played. So you can see Half-Life Alyx here, for example. I cranked up those settings in Varjo Base, and then I cranked up the settings in the game as well. So that actually improved the resolution quality of it. So you can actually crank that up. So you got the resolution scaling turned up. And I found that the visuals on it were just so impressive. And I played a number of different games. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. I revisited some of my favorites like Super Hot VR, which is obviously not as graphically intensive, but I wanted to see that the tracking was all right and that it still looked great. And the experience here was really good too. All of these games look amazing, and the fact that you can crank up the visuals on it. But there's something to be said for that sort of intelligence and the technology of having that eye tracking in there. Really high-end potential there. Now, I haven't managed to find any games that make use of that eye tracking, so let me know in the comments if you do know of any. But I think this sort of feature-packed technology is obviously fantastic. However, not having pass-through is a frustration because you want to be able to see around your room. You can't do that. Also, I've always found that something always goes wrong with a headset like this where you can't see your desktop and you have to take the headset off to be able to access your PC properly. And that is just an annoyance because it's not easy to take off, especially when you're wearing glasses underneath as well. But overall, the experience has been a really good one. So just to keep in mind, basically, what I'm saying is, if you buy this headset, make sure you keep in mind that you're going to have to spend a lot of money on the controllers and the base stations. Make sure you get the right ones that will actually work. So base station 2.0 with the newer controllers, or the original controllers and the original base stations. Don't mix and match like I did. And you'll have a great experience as long as you've got the right equipment and a good play space to play with. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Check out all the information in the description to find out more about the specs and other things. You've made it right to the end of the video, you brilliant legend you. If you've enjoyed it, click that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and drop me a comment down below if you've got any questions. If you really enjoyed it, consider joining the channel and see the benefits of doing so. Check out these other videos. You might well find them interesting or useful. And most importantly, have a great life.